We're very pleased to welcome Honorable Minister Mr. Nitin Gadkari for the 61st SIAM Annual Convention. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. We will now start the proceeding for the special plenary session for technological advancements in the world. May I request Mr. Vinod Agarwal, Treasurer SIAM, to give his opening remarks. So you're muted. You're muted, Mr. Agarwal.
Good evening to all of you, and good morning to some of our delegates who have joined from Brazil as well as from Canada and other parts of the world. And very warm welcome, and I welcome you all to the 4th special plenary session of 61st SIAM Annual Convention on Technological Advancements in the World. Today we are truly honored to have amongst us the Honorable Minister Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, Junior Minister of Road Transport and Highways. Very warm welcome to you, sir, and thank you very much for joining us. Honorable Ministers, you have always been a big source of strength and supporter for the auto industry, and today you are leading from the front for the development of infrastructure at breakneck speed in the country. And you are also driving and guiding the industry for migration to the alternate and green fuels. So thank you very much for joining us today. We are also fortunate to have very eminent speakers, Dr. Plinio Nastari, President, Datagrow, and Dr. Daryl Wilson, Executive Director, Hydrogen Council, Canada. And we are also honored to have amongst us today ECMA President Deepak Jain, and of course our SIAM President Kenji Ayukawa-san, Vice President Vipin Sondhi, and of course other senior colleagues Girish Bagh and Vikram Kirloskar. So I welcome you all to this 4th plenary session. The theme of the session on technological advancements is very apt for the Honorable Minister, who has been in the forefront of driving newer technologies in the automotive applications. Vehicles are increasingly becoming large smart devices like the cell phones with advanced braking capabilities, mapping technology for the autonomous driving, better fuel efficiency, making the mobility more safe, comfortable, and efficient. Indian auto industry has come a long way, especially in last 3 or 4 years, wherein we have moved first from BS3 to BS4 in April 2017, and then moved to BS6 emission norms from April 2020 in just 3 years, skipping BS6, BS5 emission norms altogether. During these years, we have also met several of the new safety and fuel efficiency regulations. Going forward, the industry is committed to meet more stringent fuel efficiency regulations and is putting resources to graduate to the next stage of BS6 emission regulations. Despite the huge setbacks the industry has faced due to 2 waves of pandemic, the industry has come forward to develop vehicles with higher blends of ethanol, going up to 20% in next few years, and is also committed to launch some flex fuel vehicles. Use of higher blends of ethanol in vehicles will support the government of India's ambition to minimize the dependence on crude imports. The industry absolutely recognizes the importance of reducing countries' dependence on crude imports, thereby saving foreign exchange. Honorable Prime Minister has formally announced the launch of National Hydrogen Mission to accelerate plans to generate carbon-free fuel from renewables for India to achieve self-reliance in energy. Industry is totally committed to work on this new area as well. I'm sure with eminent personalities with us today, we will have very thought-provoking and interesting deliberations. And I look forward to the very thought-provoking session. To start the session, may I now invite Dr. Plinio Nastari, President Datagro, Brazil, to share his perspective on ethanol as integrated and modern solution for sustainable mobility. Over to you, Dr. Nastari.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vinod Agawa. I'm very honored to be participating in this session. I would like to greet Honorable Union Minister of Road Transport and Highways, Mr. Nitin Gadre, and my colleague speaker, Dr. Darrell Wilson, and as well all the members of SIAM which are present today. I'm going to share my presentation. I'm going to be speaking about why ethanol should be viewed as an integrated and modern solution for sustainable mobility. And I congratulate Minister Gadri for the support and decisions to increase the blending of ethanol in petrol, gasoline, and also the authorization for launching of flex cars in India. India is one of the world's largest automotive markets, is the 5th largest producer of light vehicles in sales, and the 3rd largest market for heavy vehicles in the world. And in the drive to decarbonization, many routes are competing for space in the medium to long run. And these technologies involve more advanced vehicles with internal combustion engines, electrification with electric vehicles, and fuel cells. And in recent years, we have seen a lot of attention being focused on one of these options, which is the battery electric vehicle, which is only one of the ways that you can pursue more energy efficiency and lower greenhouse gas emissions. The option of technological pathway for fuel and motorization actually depends on the method used to measure energy efficiency and environmental impact. You can do it under the concept of tank to wheel, well to wheel, or cradle to grave. Tank to wheel, you only look at the pipeline emissions. Well to wheel, you look at emissions, including those in obtaining the energy and consuming the energy. And cradle to grave, all the energy involving, including production and disposal of the vehicles and parts. Under the well to wheel, the comparison of fuel and motorization in the world today is summarized in this table. These lines indicate the path of evolution from 2019 until 2032 for each combination of fuel and motorization. And you can see that in the green lines, the motorizations using ethanol are the ones which produce the least impact in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. And they are the only ones that are able to comply with the targets established to be met beyond 2032. Even the electrification pathways, because of the source of energy which is being used, using batteries, do not allow this to happen. And fuel cells, either with ethanol or with hydrogen, are the only ones that are able to meet this target. If we summarize briefly the comparison of greenhouse gas emissions under well to wheel, we can see that currently vehicles using gasoline which are emitting between 122 to 140 grams of CO2 equivalent per kilometer. You can reduce those emissions with the battery electric vehicle to 92, and it's a great contribution. However, even the internal combustion engine using ethanol, the flex technology, which is currently in wide use in Brazil, is producing emissions of only 58 grams. And electrification using ethanol through hybrids, which were launched in Brazil in 2019, are producing 29 grams. The combination of ethanol and gasoline in Brazil under the RenovaBio scheme is producing an average of 87 grams, even below the battery electric vehicle. And because Brazil has such a renewable-based power sector, 85% of electricity is renewable in Brazil. Electrification with battery produces 65. The flex car, 58, and hybrids, 29. Where are we leading until 2032? Well, it's projected that the battery vehicle will be emitting 74. The internal combustion engine flex using ethanol, 38. The hybrid using ethanol, 27. The fuel cell using ethanol, 27. And the combination of ethanol and gasoline, 64. That's why we believe also in electrification with ethanol through hybrids and fuel cells. And Nissan, in June 2016, stated that with the current ethanol distribution infrastructure, Brazil has already solved the hydrogen distribution hurdle. And this electrification does not require the use of rare metals. And the distribution of ethanol as a sole or blended fuel and gasoline is equivalent to a network of hydrogen already in place, with over 41,700 retailing stations distributing hydrogen through ethanol in a continental-sized country. In 2019, before the pandemic, 47% of gasoline in Brazil was substituted by ethanol through a blend of 27% anhydrous ethanol blended in gasoline, plus pure ethanol sold and used by the flex fleet, which accounts for 86% of the light vehicle fleet currently. Other countries are pursuing the same, and we are glad to see that last year, India evolved from 4.8 to 8.5%, and you are in the path of reaching 20% very soon. And congratulations, Minister Gadri, for authorizing the sale of pure ethanol, opening room for the introduction of flex cars in India. In some states in Brazil, the substitution of gasoline is even larger, 64% in São Paulo, 56% in Minas Gerais, 70% in Mato Grosso. And this represents the sales of cars in Brazil. You can see that during the 80s, we had the neat car sales in blue. And since March 2003, flex cars dominating the scene in Brazil. The blending of ethanol in Brazil has evolved very quickly. And since 1978, Brazil has been blending over 20% ethanol in all gas in all sold in the country. The benefit is that in 45 years, 3.3 billion barrels of gasoline have been substituted by ethanol. This is very significant for a country that has reserves of 12.7 billion barrels. It's 25%. And the savings on gasoline imports have been tremendous. $261 billion if we do not consider the cost of foreign debt, and $607 billion considering the cost of foreign debt. Brazil's foreign reserves, which are considered to be the basis of economic stability, are 354 billion, so that we can have a measure of the importance of this substitution. The impact on pollution has been tremendous. Measured as particulate matter 2.5 microns, the 50 most polluted cities in the world are mostly in Asia, with emissions around 135 micrograms per cubic meter of air. São Paulo, with a city of over 20 million people, over 8.5 million cars, is ranked number 879 with only 16, below the 20 micrograms per cubic meter of air precluded by WHO. And we should understand ethanol as solar energy, captured, stored, and distributed in an efficient, economical, and safe manner. Actually, it's hydrogen captured, stored, and distributed in an efficient, economic, and safe manner. The advantages of ethanol are: it's a drop-in solution, does not require the building up of a new fleet or infrastructure, enables immediate implementation and results, it's replicable, there's no technical barrier for implementation, it's scalable, can start small and grow over time, has proven environmental and health benefits, does not require the use of rare metals and mining, it's affordable in price to consumers, promotes jobs and local income, complements gasoline and enables the use of lower cost blend feedstocks, provides sustainability and longevity for the use of traditional sources of energy, and enables automakers to meet the most restrictive emission targets. Actually, ethanol should be seen as green hydrogen. It has a very high hydrogen to carbon ratio, 3:1, only second to biomethane, which can also be produced from the residues of sugarcane industrialization, while gasoline has an average ratio of 1.6:1. Ethanol and biomethane are practical, easy, safe, and efficient economic way of capturing, storing, and distributing hydrogen. It's what we call hydrogen one can carry in the bucket. We believe that we are moving towards the age of hydrogen. Green hydrogen from wind and solar for large-scale on-site industrial applications, and for mobility, green hydrogen represented by high-density, low-carbon footprint, sustainably produced advanced biofuels such as ethanol, biogas, and biomethane. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Dr. Nastri, for a very, very insightful address. And we are really impressed at the pace at which the Brazil has started using the ethanol and substituted the gasoline, and the amount of savings that you have achieved in foreign exchange. And going forward also, I think you are moving towards the age of hydrogen, and we are really impressed. I'm sure this will give us tremendous motivation to work in a similar manner in India as well. Now, may I request Dr. Daryl Wilson, Executive Director, Hydrogen Council, Canada, to share with us the developments in the world of hydrogen. Over to you, Dr. Daryl Wilson.
Good evening, Honorable Minister and honored guests. It's a great pleasure to be with you from my home here in Canada. And I'm very pleased to give you an update on what in the world is happening with hydrogen. I'm sure many of you know that hydrogen has been coming for a long time, but recently we're seeing a very dramatic acceleration in interest in hydrogen on account of the urgent concern for mitigating climate change. So let me give you an update on the status of this. And congratulations to the Minister for his announcement around a national program in this area in India. So if you haven't noticed, hydrogen is on the rise, and the Hydrogen Council has been tracking project announcements around the world, now at $500 billion US, and most of these just in the last 24 months. There's extensive further development in many countries on policy and funding support. Major players are engaged now in this sector, and there's a widespread recognition for the contribution that hydrogen can make. Life takes energy, and hydrogen is the way we believe that energy and life will flow in the future. Today, about 15% of the energy we use around the world is in electron form, but 85% is in molecular form. And so we need to have a means of flowing energy in time and space. That requires a carrier for energy. I like the phrase hydrogen in a bucket that was just shared in the last presentation. And in fact, hydrogen is the last stop on a long journey of decarbonization as we've moved from wood to coal to oil to natural gas. Truly, hydrogen is the only energy carrier which is completely carbon free. About 5 years ago in 2017, the Hydrogen Council was formed as a consortia of CEOs around the world that shared a vision for advancing hydrogen as an energy vector. Today, we have more than 120 members, and we work alongside McKinsey as our knowledge partner to gather data from our member companies. And today our database has more than 25,000 data points around the trajectory for cost and performance and the contribution that hydrogen can make in society. And in fact, there are 7 functions which we catalog for the contribution of hydrogen. First and foremost, hydrogen enables large-scale and efficient use of renewable energy. We're well aware, especially in India, a sun-drenched country, how important solar energy is in the form of wind and solar energy. But it is intermittent. It changes with the weather, and we need some means of capturing that solar energy, and hydrogen is a very critical carrier of renewable energy. And then the distribution of that energy as a buffer to to give resilience to our energy systems, function number 3. And then 4 end uses: decarbonizing transport, decarbonizing industry, acting as a feedstock for industry and industrial products, and decarbonizing heating. So these are the 7 functions that we see for hydrogen in our energy system. I mentioned earlier, major players are now engaged. Hydrogen can be used in a network of fueling stations and deliver a very large amount of fleet economy and transport. And fueling takes just minutes and gives the same autonomy as liquid fuels. Hydrogen is in use in public service now in the northwest area of Germany and other major centers in Europe. There is the adoption of hydrogen fuel cell trains. And these trains are in regular public service. These are not toys. These are not demonstration projects. These are real energy systems delivering public service on a daily basis. And the electrification of transport is also a very critical vector for hydrogen. Here you see a Cummins diesel, historically diesel truck converted to all electric drive using hydrogen energy as the energy source. And of course, with hydrogen, the only emission output is pure, clean water. Long-distance transport of energy using hydrogen has been kicked off with the first vessel on the seas moving energy from Australia to Japan in partnership with Kawasaki Heavy Industries and other parties, Marubeni Sumitomo and Australia's AGL Energy. And shown in the bottom right picture, a concept similar to an LNG carrier for moving large quantities of decarbonized energy from Australia to Japan. This is the chart we'd like to use in depicting the various applications for hydrogen. Going from the bottom to the top, those solutions which are more competitive from a low carbon solution, left to right, those solutions which are more competitive against conventional applications. And you can see here that transport applications are a very important part, which are competitive against conventional alternatives and low carbon alternatives. Also, the production of ammonia fertilizer and decarbonization of refineries. So many different applications where hydrogen can make a contribution. But the most attractive ones are shown in the top right-hand side of the slide. We know that there's been a lot of attention in battery electric vehicles, and shortly the Hydrogen Council will be releasing a report looking at hydrogen in transport. We believe the future is a combination of plugging in and filling up. These are complementary applications. We believe that both infrastructures can coexist, and in fact, it will be a better, cheaper, and faster route to decarbonization than using one of these systems alone. As the previous speaker pointed out, important when we look at our energy systems that we consider total energy efficiency. We need energy when we want it, where we want it, in the amount that we want it. And we need to look all the way from the sun to the wheel efficiency, not simply at the vehicle efficiency. And when you take that broad, holistic view, I think you easily come to the conclusion that a combined world of battery electric vehicles and fuel cell vehicles will deliver our objectives to be cheaper, faster, and greener. One of the important developments that unlocks the opportunity of hydrogen is the rapid decrease in the cost. Here we show the learning curves on the right-hand side for solar, wind, and battery technology. You can see on the left-hand side the hydrogen applications showing a similar trajectory, and we do anticipate that costs will come down very dramatically as hydrogen applications scale up. And the implication of that for transport, here showing urban transport, medium-duty transport, and heavy transport, you can see that we anticipate that the liquid fuel and diesel applications will increase in cost due to carbon policy, and we see an ongoing reduction in costs of the hydrogen applications with a crossover point around 2030. In public transport as well, we can make the case that hydrogen rail applications today are less expensive than catenary electric applications and will shortly be less expensive than diesel applications. I mentioned earlier a total of 500 billion in projects around the world. We're tracking now 359 mega projects in hydrogen, many of them clustered in Europe. You can see a lot of them, 141 around large-scale industrial usage of hydrogen and 96 in transport. Policy is evolving in countries around the world with the leaders in Korea, Japan, and China, France, Germany, and the European Union. This is where we find a sophisticated strategy, targets, legislative plan, and substantial funding in support of the sector. And here on this slide, a summary of some of the very large sums. Germany, for example, with 11 billion in US dollar funding for hydrogen projects. The sector is moving very quickly. In our last report in January, we were tracking 228 projects, now 359 projects in just 6 months later. And here you see the total broken out for the 500 billion. We would frame about 150 billion of this as mature investment, post-investment decision, and into engineering planning phases. We anticipate hydrogen costs will come down, green hydrogen needing to make the most progress from $4 to $5 US dollars per kilogram, and blue hydrogen between $1 and $2 per kilogram, with gray hydrogen produced from fossil fuels rising in cost due to carbon taxes. And this change in the price profile on hydrogen will unlock a wide variety of applications, especially those displacing diesel fuels. We anticipate these kind of operations will show up in clusters where there are multiple offtakes for hydrogen, concentrated generation of the hydrogen, and you'll find these in port areas or so-called hydrogen valleys around the world. So, keeping to the time, the question is, where is your hydrogen story? Across the vast country of India, there are many hydrogen stories. The cost trajectory is now clear and attractive. Hydrogen is very complementary to renewable deployment, and this is a fully localizable story which is growing in support around the world. Thank you for your interest and attention in hydrogen today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Daryl Wilson. I think this has been really very, very insightful. And today we had two great presentations, one on ethanol and flex fuel and the other on hydrogen. And both these areas are very dear and very close to the Honorable Minister's heart. And I'm sure with these insights, the industry is also motivated, and industry along with the Honorable Minister will work together and come out with a roadmap which is practically feasible. And now with this background, may I request Honorable Minister to share his thoughts on this future of technology.
Thank you. Mr. Kenichi Ayukwa, President of SIAM and MD and CEO of Maruti Suzuki India Limited. Mr. Deepak Jain, President of ECMA and Chairman and MD, Lumax Group. Mr. Vinod Agrawal, Treasurer SIAM, and Dr. Pilino Nastari, President of Datagro Brazil, and Dr. Daryl Wilson, Executive Director, Hydrogen Council Canada, Mr. Girish Wak, Chairman SIAM, and he's from Tata Motors, all distinguished dignitaries, SIAM organizing members, member partners, invitees, and all my dear friends. I really appreciate the presentation and giving my special thanks to both the guests for their very, very intellectual and very, very valuable presentation to all of us. Thank you very much. It feels good to be with you all again at the 61st Convention of the Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers, SIAM. And over many years now, I have been interacting with SIAM and industry partners over ways to strengthen the automobile sector and benefit the economy. The Ministry of Road Transport and Highways appreciate the active role of SIAM in ensuring constant collaboration amongst all stakeholders, especially between the automotive industry and various ministries in the Indian government. The Indian automotive industry is a key driver of economic growth in the country. It is one of the largest employers, biggest exporters, and biggest tax-paying sector in the country. The contribution of the automobile sector to the overall GDP of India stands tall at 7.1% and 49% of the manufacturing GDP, with an annual turnover of rupees 7.5 lakh crores and export of rupees 3.5 lakh crore. It is estimated that 37 million jobs directly and indirectly are supported by the industry. The automobile industry is a vital player in India's vision to become a $5 trillion economy. The automotive mission plan of the Government of India is to set up a goal to raise the contribution of the automobile sector towards nation GDP to 12% and generate about 50 million new jobs. The government is working towards making the country a #1 global automobile manufacturing hub in the coming years. Many multinational automotive brands are now available in India. With COVID-19 impacting economies worldwide, deliberation on technological advancement in the world is highly relevant and the need of the hour. My ministry is focused on enhancing the nationwide connectivity and mobility and strengthening the national infrastructure to support the automotive sector. Ministry has initiated a landmark move by implementing the Motor Vehicle Amendment Act 2019, and this act has facilitated the implementation of steeper penalties for traffic violations, notifications of recall of defective vehicles, passing of Good Samaritan law, and creation of National Road Safety Board to oversee the issue related to road safety. Simultaneously, this act has also allowed swift adoption of new and emerging technologies. We are at the extremely crucial juncture where the time is demanding us to think out of the box and take leaps like never before, with a focus on ecology and environment and keeping in mind the need of import substitution of fuel. We must swiftly transform towards engine technologies that allow usage of import substitute, cost-effective, indigenous, and pollution-free fuel. The auto industry has always supported the government in the several measures. I would like to compliment the auto industry on the time-bound switch from BS4 to BS5, 6 mass emission standards. Courageous leaps like this must inspire the industry to work even further towards taking transformative steps for bettering fuel efficiency, emissions, and road safety. We have progressively increased automotive industry standards. The focus has been to make Indian vehicles at par with international standards in terms of crash safety, body designs, and corporate average fuel efficiency (CAFE) norms. The industry must also take upon itself a social responsibility to ensure that some optional features like retro-reflective taps, handrails, automotive helmets, sensing cum reminder system, stand detection system, etc. are installed across all segments of vehicles in the interest of vehicular and rider safety. There is also a need to improve bus body quality for the safety and comforts of passengers. Provision of high-tech and AC cabin in trucks and long-run buses will improve the ease of driving and avoid driver fatigue, which is major reason for accidents in heavy-duty vehicles, which operate on the COVID disruptions. India was the top country of origin for vehicle imports into South Africa. Trust in India imports rupees 8 lakh crores of crude oil, and this is going to get doubled in the next 4 to 5 years, which will have a huge impact on the economy and environment. Government is promoting the adoption of cleaner and greener alternative fuels like ethanol, methanol, biodiesel, bio-CNG, LNG, electric, and green hydrogen fuel cell technology to reduce dependency on petrol and diesel. We are also promoting the usage of various technologies that result in saving of fuel and time. An excellent success story in FASTag, which has penetrated to more than 96% across all toll plazas. Due to FASTag, there is a tremendous saving in running time of cars, thereby reducing wear and tear of cars, improving fuel efficiency, and thereby reducing air pollution. We are now moving on the adopting ideas like GPS-based tolling, which will utilize the car's location to track the location on a real-time basis, and this will charge the users only for the exact distance of the roads which they have used and will make the complete process of tolling hassle-free and transparent. Protection of ecology and environment must be the way of business and way of life for all of us. I appeal the vehicle manufacturers to discourage the production and sale of diesel engine vehicles. Diesel-based pollution is extremely hazardous to the environment and human health. Industry must promote alternative fuel technologies and fund and research and direction for development for alternative fuels. I am happy to note that SIAM, together with IIT Bombay, is developing a center of excellence on research and development on electric vehicles. I will soon be reviewing a presentation on the same. This is the time to invest heavily in research for our IITs, NITs, and premier institutions. And we are immensely blessed with the talent pool of engineering students who are willing to question to conventional modes of transport and technology. This quality within the students should be harnessed and motivated towards ensuring that the best technology are developed in the most economical modes. Partnership of auto sector with governments, institutes such as ISRO, DRDO, and IOCL, etc. can also particularly help us in developing viable models for transport and storage of green hydrogen as a fuel. This is the time to come together where the institution with technical expertise can play a leading role in guiding the industry, and the industry can specifically help in commercialization of these technologies. Our agriculture is our real strength, and we intended to diversify that into the energy and power sector. That is very important for the country. The government has released the report of the expert committee on the roadmap for ethanol blending in India by 2025. which discusses the gradual rollout of 20% ethanol blending in petrol E20 by 2025. We are now allowing ethanol production from food grains like rice, corn, wheat, maize, which are surplus in the country. I am looking forward to the industry to quickly roll out E20 compatible vehicles. This will be immensely helpful in cutting our import bill and giving a direct benefit to our farmers without a compromise on the environment. We are very much committed to delivering vehicles with flex engines that give the users an option to run a vehicle on either 100% ethanol, petrol, or 100% bioethanol. And there is a success story of Brazil. This is the time for all of us to learn the technology, the success story, the attitude, approach, and commercial success story of Brazil. We need to accept that. And on the basis of that, we need to make the research on it. It's a successful example. Brazil is our motivation, inspiration, and 100% that is going to be beneficial for Indian economy, Indian agriculture, and as far as ecology and environment is concerned. Such flex engine best vehicles are already running in the USA, Brazil, and Canada. Few of these brands are successfully operating in India too. The technology is readily available, and it is just a matter of time to take that leap which will transform the transport landscape of India forever. I commend Mr. Pino Nastari for his insightful presentation on usage of flex engine technology and how it helps greenhouse gas emission. It was shown that the flex engine technology in Brazil, which is BS4 level component, has compared to Indian emits only 55 grams, which is only 1/3 of GHG emissions as compared to petrol or diesel IC engines, which emit in the range of 150 grams. India is a power surplus nation, and solar and wind generator electricity is very cheap. We have been promoting electric mobility and creating a sustainable ecosystem for e-vehicles in the country. There seems a good response for electric two-wheelers, three-wheelers, and e-cars in the domestic market. Already we are working on manufacturing of a lithium-ion battery, and I'm confident that this is 100%. We are in position that as early as possible, we will make 100% battery in India. Presently, we are making 86% of the battery in India, and 100% we are now having constantly research on the subject, and 100% by the help of our research institution and automobile industry. I am confident that they will be succeed in this mission to get 100% lithium-ion battery they can manufacture in India. There is a need to develop low-cost indigenous battery technologies for EVs, and development of charging infrastructure for the electrical vehicle. Adoption of ecosystem is very important. Government is strongly encouraging renewable energy-based charging mechanism for EVs. LNG as a fuel is economically viable for long-term trucks and buses. I have just inaugurated India's first commercial LNG pump. The economics is so good that the cost of conversion is rupees 10 lakh, which can be recovered in 295 days with an average of 5 km per hour. Recently, I have launched the first ever agriculture tractor run on bio-CNG, and in the next week, I will be launching a tractor run on 100% electricity. These are really a good development is going on in our country. We have planned to ship public transport and logistics on 100% green and clean fuel. And that is the need of the country. I am confident that the ministry is also exploring prospects of hydrogen fuel cells vehicles, and we have already notified standards for the same. The green hydrogen is the fuel for the future. We need to find appropriate technologies for its generation, transportation, and storage. I am particularly stressing for research and development on electrolyzer technology. Low-cost electrolyzers will be a game changer in the energy ecosystem in India. I also thank Dr. Daryl Wilson for his insightful presentation on green hydrogen. The presentation has very nicely covered the wide application of green hydrogen as a fuel. Apart from transport, green hydrogen can transform the space of ammonia and fertilizers, as that is extremely essential ingredient for the Indian agriculture sector. I invite you to present me with any ideas in detail that you may have for long distance transport applications of green hydrogen. For example, a train running on hydrogen was recently launched in the United Kingdom. We are keen to learn from successful practices in the world and ready to implement them on a huge scale in India. Yesterday, I had a big meeting with Railway Ministry, Aviation Ministry, all infrastructure committee under my chairmanship in my office. Our railway minister was constantly telling me that he was working hard on green hydrogen. And his dream is to make hydrogen, the train which will run on green hydrogen as early as possible. We have got big steel industry. We have got furnaces. We are using thermal coal. We are requesting now planning policy for using hydrogen as a fuel in place of thermal coal, cooking coal. And now that is to be, because we are importing the coal, 3 lakh rupees crore, we are spending for imports of coal. Everywhere in the all functions where we need energy, we need to prioritize our exactly the fuel which is import substitute, cost effective, pollution free and indigenous. And this is the time that for our economy, for ecology and environment, we need to work on that line. We are also blending CNG on 18% volume basis with hydrogen, and a successful pilot project was recently carried out in buses of Delhi. And the industry must collectively work with the government in taking this further. Today, I have a meeting with Petroleum Ministry, Secretary and other people was present, and he has already admitted that his ministry is giving order to the Indian government petroleum companies to start ethanol pump in the district where ethanol is available for flex engine. So there is a lot of problem because some of the manufacturers many times asking me about where is the ethanol pumps. So within 6 months, we will establish the network of ethanol pumps in the country. And 100% I'm sure that availability of ethanol is our responsibility, and we will see that ethanol will be available. So now we are on fast track development of alternative mobility solutions. I am also in charge for ropeway, cable car, funicular rail. These innovative modes will provide better last mile connectivity in the country, and this is public transport on electricity. I am proud to share that the government, under the guidance of our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi ji, we have launched the vehicle scrappage policy to deal with old, unfit, polluting private and commercial vehicles with the inclusion of end of life criteria. The policy incentivizes consumers to replace the old vehicles by providing several incentives such as discount on road tax and no registration fees on new bookings. It would save the growing maintenance expenses and mitigate the risk of road accidents for using old and unfit vehicles. My dream is to start scrapping industry. Every district, at least one industry we have, that is to be scrapping industry, and some of the district need 5 scrapping industries. This is going to be advantageous for the automobile industry because we are importing aluminium, copper, this, and because of that our cost is high. But by the scrapping policy, the availability of steel, copper, aluminium, plastic and rubber will be available. And that is the reason we will reduce the cost on our component. So my suggestion is to all automobile industries owner that this is the time for you for your own benefit. You can think to start this scrapping units all over the country where you can purchase the raw material, which is very much useful for you for your manufacturing, or particularly the automobile industry will get benefited from this policy. On scientific recycling of scrap, there will be a huge availability of rare earth metals and raw materials like iron, steel, aluminum, rubber, plastic, fiber, etc., which can be reused by the industry at a large scale. It will compensate for the rising cost of steel, aluminum, etc., and their import load. Nationwide rollout of vehicle scrapping program will certainly boost sales for automotive, ancillary, and allied industries while creating employment opportunities and pushing economic growth in the country. When I was shipping minister, I have taken special measure to increase the draft of the port. We have now many of the major ports, we are making draft up to 18 meters, by which you can import the scrap, the scrap, automobile scrap, and of 2 lakh ton of ship will come to our port, and which is going to be availability of huge raw material for automobile industry. And you can make industrial clusters near the port land, like Kandla, even in some Chennai, Tuticorin, everywhere. It is the opportunity for the industry to start automobile industrial clusters there for using this material, which can be helpful for you to reduce your cost. The industry has to reduce the import and increase the export to become a Atmanirbhar in the real sense. Market-driven technology adoption is need of the time. And this is the time to shift the focus to quality instead of cost and quantity. Change in definition of MSMEs and the announcement of PLI for the auto sector would support the industry in becoming globally competitive. Demand-supply scenario in auto sector has been now changed in positive way. I am confident that the coming years will be glorious and revolutionary for the entire Indian automotive industry. The government is in support of the industry efforts and is taking measures that promote ease of doing business even during these unprecedented times. This is our efforts. My interaction with SIAM and its members have always been fruitful. As I have always said, for any challenge that the industry is facing, my doors are always open to extend help, and the ministry is committed to helping the industry grow. With mutual cooperation, coordination, and communication between the stakeholders among all, we will resolve our issues and establish win-win ecosystem for government, industry, and consumer. I have a dream that we can make our Indian automobile industry the #1 manufacturing hub in the world. We have got skilled manpowers, we have got the availability of the raw materials, and we have already got the industry like you who are internationally very, very competitive and very, very expert, and they have got all the technology they have. But this is the time for all of us to learn the successful practices in the whole world. Today's the Hydrogen Council's presentation and the ethanol presentation from our friend from Brazil. It's really a great inspiration, motivation for all of us. I am confident that we will take the advantage, and I always telling to the people that knowledge is the power. The innovation, entrepreneurship, science, technology, research, skill, and successful practices, we name it as a knowledge. And conversion of knowledge into wealth is the future. We have got a lot of engineering skilled manpower is available in the country, and domestic market is very huge. And this is the opportunity for the industry that they can take the advantage of this situation. Really, I will request you to all of you, as compared with the speed, particularly in hydrogen, green hydrogen and ethanol, the Brazil and the Western countries are leading. Now, this is the appropriate time for the industry and for me and for all of you, for the government, that this presentation, which is a great inspiration and motivation for all of us, this is the time that we should now take the decision fast, and we should move towards the success story of alternative fuel. I need your cooperation for that. I am confident that you are all working in the interest of the nation. We need to reduce our import. And 3 important things where we are working on it. One is ethics, economy, and ecology and environment. And this is the issue which is related with our economy and ecology and environment. And this is the time for the country that we need your support for that. 100% government is with you. The future of automobile industry is 100% is very, very good. I have full confidence on you. We will support you fully. And with your cooperation, we will march ahead towards the great success to make Indian automobile industry as #1 manufacturing hub in the world. I am really giving my thanks to all of you, and 100% with your cooperation, we will succeed in this mission. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. We are really very, very motivated at your positive message and very encouraging words for the industry. And of course, also touching wide-ranging subjects which are of national importance. And I'm sure we all of us in SIAM will work together with you very closely, seek your guidance, and of course move forward in the various areas that you have touched upon. May I now request Deepak Jain, President ACMA, to share his thoughts.
Thank you. Honorable Minister Shri Gadkari ji, eminent leaders from the SIAM, good evening to everyone. After such a comprehensive and intelligent message from the Honorable Minister, I think ACMA, the component industry, has very little to say on the technological advancements. But let me make an attempt. First and foremost, I am extremely SIAM for inviting ACMA today. Let me begin by congratulating the SIAM leadership for yet another successful edition of its annual session. All the themes in the earlier session in the morning were indeed very pertinent and thoughtfully presented and deliberated. I'm also very glad that our two associations continue to work together in an extremely symbiotic fashion and that our relationship continues to be strengthened year on year as we align on all industry issues, which is undergoing an unprecedented technology transformation. I would like to compliment Honorable Minister Shri Gadkari ji for his vision of India, where mobility will not be limited to offering clean, congestion-free, eco-friendly and convenient solutions alone, but will also have the ability to localize, reduce our dependence on imports, and convert waste to wealth, thus making our country and our industry more Atmanirbhar. We are also thankful to the government for the recent scrap it policy, which is indeed a right step, ushering in sustainable and circular economy in the automotive sector. Gadkari ji, we really look forward for your presence and guidance for tomorrow's session for the component industry as well. As the theme of today's session is global technical advancements, let me share the component industry perspective. Globally, mobility across all nations is undergoing transformation as governments enforce stricter norms for safety and emissions. However, in India, added to its complexity is how do we offer affordable solutions? The automotive industry in India today is witnessing a deep structural shift. Several changes are concurrently taking place with autonomous, connected, electric, and shared technologies being adopted in various degrees. That apart, adoption of alternate fuels such as ethanol, hydrogen, and changes in drivetrain with the introductions of electric mobility of flex fuels, addition of more safety features in the vehicles, and usage of eco-friendly material in manufacturing for ease of recycling, adoption of smart technologies to boost internal operations in manufacturing is truly creating a paradigm shift in our industry. Further, 5G connectivity is envisioned to offer a plethora of opportunities to the automotive industry with its ultra high speed of data transfer and low latency, allowing for a slew of new services and added features in the vehicles. In this context, I'm glad to mention that ACMA has enhanced the scope of its membership to include new age advanced automotive technology players and startups to ensure that the automotive supply chain in India stays relevant to its customers. Let me also touch upon the recent report of the Climate Change 2021 released by the IPCC, which highlighted the need to take accelerated and immediate actions towards greener technologies. I'm happy to mention that over the years, ACMA's intervention through its cluster programs has benefited 1,200 plus manufacturing plants, largely MSME dominated, and helping reduce 15,000 plus metric tons of carbon dioxide per annum. We have set a target of reducing the carbon footprint in the component sector by at least 25% in the next 2 years. ACMA has also appreciated the fact that the Government of India has already announced a national hydrogen energy mission as part of the Union Budget 21-22 and for generating hydrogen from green power sources to reduce India's carbon footprint by decarbonizing the heavy industries. I'm sure the insights shared today by Dr. Nastari on ethanol-based solutions and by Dr. Wilson on hydrogen technology will help us in shaping our own mobility and fuel policies. As I close, I reiterate that ACMA has always stood for a long-term technology agnostic roadmap for the automotive industry. The Indian market is large enough to allow for coexistence of multiple technologies. However, our only request is that the introduction of new technologies should be well planned to allow for an adequate localization of technologies, facilitating the component industry to offer higher value-added solutions and realizing return on investment. This will be indeed in the interest of the domestic industry and the nation at large. Last but not the least, I look forward to welcome our Honorable Minister and also esteemed OEM leadership at the ACMA annual session tomorrow. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Deepak ji, for sharing your perspective from ACMA and also the various steps which ACMA and the entire component industry is taking to address the national needs. And may I now request Girish Bagh, Chairman, SIAM Commercial Vehicles CEOs Council and Executive Director, Tata Motors, to deliver his vote of thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Agarwal, and good evening to all of you. It has been a packed day with a lot of good insights and inputs. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, for your words of wisdom. Auto industry always looks up to you as a visionary, as you have deep understanding, not just of the auto sector, but also you are able to foresee the potential of this sector and how it can be integrated with the development of this country. The measures undertaken by the ministry under your leadership have seen commendable advancement in terms of vehicle technology and road infrastructure. We are also grateful to our international speakers, Dr. Nastari from Brazil and Dr. Daryl Wilson from Canada, for making it convenient to join the SIAM annual convention despite the challenges of time zones. We are also thankful to Mr. Deepak Jain, President ACMA, for sharing his insights on technological advancements from the technology provider's perspective. There has been a very good discussion and focus around alternate fuel today, with reduction in import bill and climate change being the clear key drivers, with the ultimate destination being electrification. The Honorable Prime Minister, in his note, has also nudged the industry to start working towards circular economy. As it has been evident today, ethanol would play a significant role in India, complemented by its robust farming community, and we are confident that sustained supply of ethanol would be there to meet the market demand. Apart from being used as a liquid fuel, ethanol could also be utilized in a more productive way by converting it into hydrogen form. This will make ethanol a formidable alternative source of fuel, and Dr. Nastari's success story from Brazil is a very good example towards this. Indian auto industry is committed to support the government of India's vision to enhance the utilization of ethanol. While ethanol addresses the gasoline-fired ICE engines, CNG and LNG were also spoken about as focus areas for commercial vehicles. There has been a significant push for gas in commercial vehicles, and these multiple powertrain technologies being discussed by Government of India, including launch of 50 LNG retail outlets across the Golden Quadrilateral, CNG infrastructure and filling stations across India and various territories, and hydrogen mobility are areas where CV industry is preparing for. Though Indian auto industry has already been working on hydrogen as a source of energy carrier for automotive application, presently it is still in the evolving stages. Industry has already developed and demonstrated hydrogen-powered pilots, whether in three-wheelers or buses which are undergoing pilot trials. Moving to battery electric vehicles, so this technology is at the center stage, and we are witnessing introduction of a large number of EV models, and all manufacturers would have EV prototypes in their stables, if not launched already. At the same time, fuel cells are also gaining momentum world over, and for a good reason. However, hydrogen would play a vital role in renewable energy system and in future mobility as we look at slightly longer time horizon. Honorable Minister, under your leadership, commendable transformations have been witnessed in many areas relating to mobility, including tremendous growth in road infrastructure and highways in the shortest time span. Your vision to create a road infrastructure like US in India is impressive. Improved vehicle safety with the aggressive introduction of new safety technologies, and even today you spoke about improving comfort and convenience in buses and trucks, which will actually help in reducing accidents on the roads. Continuous upgradation in environment regulations to monitor vehicle emissions, greater emphasis to alternate fuel choices to reduce dependency on conventional fuels and therefore the import bill. And finally, digitalization of various forms and applications under CMVR, moving to a more paperless ecosystem. Sir, because of the above, we as an industry have come a long way in terms of global competitiveness. I'm sure the deliberations of this session during the entire 61st annual convention of SIAM have been enriching for all of us. Big thanks to all the speakers who joined us today and contributed in the discussion during the day. I hope everyone who joined us benefited from the insights and experiences shared. With this, we conclude the fourth and the last special plenary session of the 61st SIAM Annual Convention. I formally thank all the convention sponsors and also the SIAM Secretariat who have put this together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So with this, we come to the conclusion of the 61st SIAM Annual Convention. Thank you very much to all the speakers, all the participants, and all the sponsors. I hope each one of you were able to benefit from these presentations and the insights we got from these speakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.